Happy Devils Sunday. This is the Let's Go Devils podcast, Season 8, Episode 11. Coming to you live from the Primetime Radio Studios inside the bunker in an undisclosed location in beautiful New Jersey. And going cross-continent to the Michael J. Fox Studios in Beverly Hills, California, it's Scotty, a Sirius XM Liquid Metal. Shorts guy is on assignment tonight. Beer Baron is Beer Baron, and he's late tonight. Streaming live.
Couldn't have said that any better right there.
Yeah. One excuse time.
Somehow I just came from a work emergency and beat LA traffic back from the Sirius XM studios over here to my apartment and still beat Beer Baron, who only has to walk down into his basement. I don't know how that is literally possible, but it has occurred. It has occurred here on this wonderful Sunday.
Yeah, and I was watching a clip of Goodfellas while you were waiting, and still beat Beer Baron.
As I'm screaming into the microphone, Sam, put your headphones on. Put your headphones on.
You're muted, though.
I'm sitting here texting him, and I know he sees the little messages popping up, and he doesn't even blink from his Goodfellas. Doesn't even blink.
Tony
Looking right
Stacks.
at his phone.
Tony
Just
Stacks.
like this. I'm just telling Sam, look up. Look up. Put your headphones on. Nothing. Boy. What a Sunday so far. What a Sunday I've been having over here. Got destroyed in fantasy playoffs, work emergency. Woo. Man, but we're here. We're talking some Devils hockey for this week. And Sam and I have already been talking a lot about this here on Devils After Dark. But, you know, team had a better than expected, I guess, homestand, you could say. I didn't know what was going to happen with this 5-game homestand because the Devils have been just so unpredictable at home. And they've had so many issues going on. But they had some down moments, but then they cleaned it up here in the end with some victories to, give us some good positive news here before heading into this week before Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and whatever you might happen to celebrate out there. I actually got a look. Who we got? Oh, the Rangers are playing tonight, right? They're playing the Blues.
Yep.
Rangers are down. The Hurricanes won 4-1, so that doesn't help us out any bit. Sorry, I had a little gnat here flying around. Oh, he's gone now, squished on my hand. The Blackhawks are beating the Icelanders. So a couple games happening here in the old chill, the old National. But, yeah, I got to look and see where the old Devils are. What games do we have coming up here? I got to look at the schedule.
Well,
okay.
I think
great.
I think they play the BJs on Thursday. They play the Penguins on Saturday.
We got St. Louis on Tuesday, going over to St. Louis. Yep. Then, we got the Blue Jackets on Thursday. Then the Penguins on Saturday. So another Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday week here for the New Jersey Hockey Devils. Yeah. So that'll be interesting. Get out on the road. On Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. That's what we'll be doing. And then they'll be back home Saturday at Pittsburgh, with Pittsburgh at the Rock before the Rangers roll into town on that Monday random 1 p.m. start, 1 p.m. Eastern start time, even though everybody is not off for the holiday.
Yeah, people are off because of schools are closed. That's why. That's why they schedule it that way. It doesn't make any sense. It's stupid.
Teachers are off. The rest of the world is not off. Yeah.
The rest of the world is not off unless you have kids, and then you're forced to be off because you have to take off.
No, it's actually because the NHL sold out to ESPN. And ESPN wanted it at 1 p.m. That's what I was told.
Yeah, it's a dumb. It's a dumb move there by them. That should make it a night game before Christmas Eve.
They couldn't they find another city to do the 1 p.m. like that nobody cares about, like Columbus? Could they find another,
Hey, here's an idea. How about put the Saturday game at 1:00? I don't know. Like, most people are off on the weekend. There's a good time when people are generally off from work. The weekend. How about an afternoon start on Saturday, not Monday?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. If it was actually on
sense?
Christmas Eve, I get it. Okay. Yeah, you want the players to be able to go spend time with their families and everything like that. You do an afternoon game. More people are off on Christmas Eve than they are on the 23rd. Like, I don't get that one at all. So I can see if it was on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, you get the afternoon start. Cool, I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm hoping there's a power outage that day, and then it just gets delayed to 7 anyway.
I know Sam's working. I know I'm working. So. I don't know.
Maybe
how we're gonna handle that one.
Maybe there'll be drones in the area, and they'll have to postpone the game because of drone activity.
Well, that's only in New Jersey, so good luck with that, guys. Let me know when the aliens land. All right.
But I'm gonna tell you what, those drones are. It's interesting you say that because they're right outside.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
I had one go over. Yeah, I had one go over my house last night. I looked up. And I was standing on the deck. I called my wife out. I'm like, hey, come check this out. And she's like, dude, turn off the light and come inside. I'm like, what are they going to do? Just beam me up? They already know we're out here anyways. The heat signature's in the house. Yeah, boys.
Nikki has some lead shielding on the rooftop that she installed in the summer.
Oh, yeah.
So they can't really see anything.
Hand.
Yeah.
By hand. Without gloves.
But
yeah, dude.
Yeah, we just had
this Monday.
We're talking
the Monday start.
So, the Monday start. Well, we'll get to that. But we Sam and I have been obviously doing a lot, covering this past week. Devils homestand. Everyone was worried. We all know the team has been struggling at home, but they do end up picking up. What is it? 7 out of 9 points. 6 out of 9.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it was? 6 out of 9. Potential points. Win against Seattle, shellacked by Colorado. Then the OT loss in Toronto, which was
that's 3.
Very hard to take because I was
at that game too. That sucked.
Yeah, they played so well, and to see it slip away like that was very disheartening. But then they come back and they beat the Kings and they beat the Blackhawks. They fixed the power outage. Because, in the Colorado and Toronto game, they scored a whopping total of 1 goal. Okay?
So
but then they come back
9.
and get
7 out of 9.
Or
7 out of 10.
Oh, yeah, 7.
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. I'm sorry. 7 out of 10. Yeah, I'm not good with the old math. So 7 out of 10, but then they score 3 against the Kings, and then the big boys come through in the Chicago game with Timo and Jack and Dawson Mercer, who, by the way, takes the puck to the face, still has not missed a game here in the NHL
cage
for his career. He got the cage. He took I hear he's also wearing the I Hate Sam Wu UTI edition neck brace in the post-game interviews. And we're going to start selling these for the holidays. The Sam Wu neck brace UTI edition. Sam, if you could model that for us.
UTI.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
The upper throat injury edition for the neck brace. And I think if Dawson does that, just give him a little bit more sympathy. And cage for the rest of the year for Dawson Mercer because he's been playing damn well with it.
Yeah, that cage, it gives him the confidence that he needed to overcome any kind of, being nervous that he was going to get hit with a puck, I guess. Now he has no care in the world. I will say this, the numbers, the team, they weren't scoring for a little bit, and there was like that concern.
Yeah.
Even in that Chicago game where it was like 1-0 Chicago for a little bit before they kind of like they're like, oh yeah, we're way better than these guys, and turned it on.
Yeah, it's like, oh wait, we're the Oh, that's right. Oh, okay, yeah. Early start.
We have
let's turn this on now. Yeah.
Oh my God, we have Timo Meyer and guys like that. So Timo has been playing lights out. He played great against the Kings. He's been playing good hockey. He hasn't been scoring a lot, but he's been playing some really damn good hockey. I feel like a lot of them have been playing really solid hockey. It's just, it's the final stat line of not putting it in the net is what concerns you. But then you get the guys that step up that need to step up. Like Jack Hughes needed to step up, and he does what he does. He stepped up. You get guys that go out there and they there he is, and they do the things that they need to do. So it's nice.
We need to get Sam is going to sign Dawson Mercer's neck brace, and Dawson Mercer's got to sign. Like when you get a cast when you're a kid and everyone signs your cast.
Jersey swap. Is it like a jersey swap?
Maybe we could do a jersey swap. Yeah, they trade neck braces.
A neck brace swap.
Neck brace swap. That should be a good idea.
Yeah, take it off and center ice.
That's how I get my sympathies.
Yep, that's how you get them. And it's good for sleeping on a plane. Like if you're on a plane ride and you got a long flight. Predates the neck pillow. Which, by the way, if you're wearing a neck pillow, you're probably wearing it backwards. You're supposed to put the U shape in the front, not the back. I see.
You finally saw that Instagram video from like 10 years ago?
Yeah, it took a while, but I finally saw it. And then I was like, oh, that makes so much more sense. Like, where have I been this whole time? Oh my God.
I like it. Sam's gonna wear that on the plane, and he's gonna get all these extra things and stuff like that. And then, sir, I don't want you to hurt your neck. Oh, it's just for sleeping. That's all. Just I can take it off real quick.
United's gonna be like, sir, I'll move you up from zone 5 to zone 1.
Oh yeah. Here's your complimentary blanket. And we're gonna get the wheels. We're gonna get the wheelchair for you. Hold on one second. Or they just bring the golf cart down.
Sir, we don't really serve meals anymore, but for you, we have this salad that looks like a steak. Here you go.
Coincidentally,
give it a shot. Coincidentally.
Max,
I'll have the Sam salad, please.
Max, if you haven't been paying attention, we already debuted the helmet. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. We already talked about it. We already showed it. Sam, do you remember that? We had the whole
I remember
reveal.
that fully. Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know what you're talking about, Max. You missed the boat on that one.
He might be talking about the helmet that looks like it's squeezing Sam's head into oblivion.
No.
Is that the helmet you're talking about?
No. It's a whole different thing. Don't worry about it. Don't you worry about that. This football helmet? Oh, I wouldn't worry about this little football helmet over here. This little guy? I wouldn't worry about this little guy over here. You're sick son of a bitch. So I have a question. With the team playing it the way they've been playing recently, and you have teams like the Washington Capitals who just seem to keep winning, does it concern you that the game in hands are going to catch up to the Devils eventually? Because we're at the top of the standings, but if you look at it, we still have. I was just looking at it. I think 4 games in hand on Washington, and I wonder when that gap is going to start to get shorter between all the teams, because the Devils do lead. I think we do lead in the NHL 33.
There's only there's only one other team.
It's us and the Sharks.
And the Sharks.
Yeah, the Sharks.
Yeah.
The gap is
already
games.
The gap is already kind of it's a lot
29.
smaller now. But the problem is the one team that has the most amount of games in hand is the Washington Capitals, who have been playing. They are playing unreal. I mean, right now.
Yeah.
Yes, they have the least amount of L's in the league. 21-6-2. Unfriggin' real. I mean, Minnesota is playing, lights out as well. They're 27-4. Vegas has only lost 8.
27-4. Winnipeg 22-9-1.
22-9-1, and then Vegas, is
Vegas and LA.
28-3. Yeah. LA's
Well,
18, 9, and 3. They're close. They're closer to,
Yeah.
where we are. We're 20, 10, and 3. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I think that's the issue. I mean, but if you go down, the Metro, Carolina's got 30 games played. Philly's got 31. The Rags got 30. Pittsburgh, 32. The Islanders, 32. Columbus, 31. So they've all kind of caught up, except for the Capitals, still there at 29. That's a 4-game gap.
That's huge. That's a possible 8
That's
points.
huge.
That's huge.
And
Is
especially
Sam
the way they've been
sleeping?
playing. I think he's doing something with his neck. He's trying to straighten it out.
No.
He got a little crick there in the old neck, trying to get it straightened. That's also an advertisement for this coming holiday season. The I Hate Sam Wu UTI edition neck brace. Get them. All the kids are going to want them. It's going to be like Tickle Me Elmo from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Just doing some promotional stuff, Beer Baron. I'm okay.
Tickle Me Sam.
Oh, somebody's going to come in and just start tickling them. That's weird. Yeah, but that is 8 points is a huge swing, and that's the only thing that makes me nervous. They're playing really, really well.
Yeah.
Ovechkin, and Ovechkin's not officially back, but he's close to coming back from a broken leg. The dude who's already skating like 17 days after he broke his leg. The Russian machine is out there doing what he does. I'm like a little surprised that Washington is as good. In all disclosure, I have not really followed them in the offseason. I know they made some decent acquisitions and like they've improved their team over the offseason. But at the same time, I wasn't really I don't have my finger on the pulse of the Washington Capitals, and their team they're playing great so far. But is it a sustainable great? Are they doing this? Are they like one of those teams that are playing like hot right now, where they could possibly cool off? Because that's the one thing that I keep talking about the Devils is their consistency. Like they need to get into it. So I don't know.
Stop touching me. Stop touching
me,
me, Elmo Sam. Yes, we can have that one too.
Yeah.
No, I that's what I'm wondering as well. Like, is this team, the Washington Capitals, gonna even out sometime soon? Are they overachieving right now? Because we remember them from last year, and they did make some changes, but overall, there's a lot of the same team that's still there. This year, I think the difference is they're really scoring, surprisingly, because they're not the fastest team in the world, but they are scoring off the rush. They're one of the top teams in the league in those transitions, which, like I said, with their age and their speed or lack thereof, you wouldn't think that would be a thing. But this year, that's what's going on. So is that sustainable over an 82-game season? I am not sure. I'm not sure about that for the Washington Capitals. So I think where you're going with this, I think they will eventually even out a little bit more. They could have a miracle run, but I feel like second half of the season,
they can start piling up those injuries and things like that. But not to interrupt you, but Dubs just said Washington made moves. They're a big, heavy team, heavy on the forecheck, and very sustainable, solid game. They lean on you until you make a mistake and then capitalize. They have, no pun intended, right? They are for real. Yeah, they're a team that for sure.
But Brooks says they're old.
Be...
Brooks counterpoint: they're old.
They're old. Yeah, but what is the average age? One of you guys out there help us out on this. What is their average age? I'll take outside of Ovechkin because that's going to bump the age, the age average up on that team. But and Carlson's been around forever. There's a couple guys that have been around forever, but their core.
There's
of that
a lot
team,
of them.
Wilson,
even Tom Wilson's been there. I mean, he's never been a speed burner, so, and he plays a better game now. I'll give him credit for that. All right, Connor McMichael's got 15 goals. Tom Wilson's got 13.
He's been a killer against the Devils this year, McMichael.
Dylan Strom, yep. 37 points. Logan Thompson's got a 245 goals against.
20.
Lindgren's got a
Max.
266. So
yeah,
I'm just looking at some of their totals here.
28.3 with Ovechkin, says says Max. Which is, it's average age. I mean, we look at him, we're like, that's old. How dare 30 years old in NHL. Oh my God, that's old. In reality, I'm 42 and I wish I was 28 still. Strome was a great sign for them.
McMichael, Strom. Yeah, you got Ovechkin, you got Wilson, you got Carlson, you got Pierre-Luc Dubois there now. Chychrun from up in Ottawa. Radish. Rasmus Sandin on defense. Nick Dowd there. Van Riemsdyk, who's not really doing... That's Trevor Van Riemsdyk. Never mind. Mangiapane from where he was before. Calgary. But he's only got 10 points on the year. He hasn't been kicking it into gear yet. So yeah, they made some moves, but man,
see, Tom said we're 28.4, so we're 0.4 older.
Well, now because we've made some moves in the offseason to actually get a little bit older, and some of our guys are, they're not 18 years old anymore. But
not
it really
anymore. Pimple faced nerds. Now they can get their own beer.
Yeah. I mean, they got 8 guys above the 20-point mark, which is good. That's good. But is it sustainable for them? Is Dubois going to continue? Is Carlson, Wilson, Ovechkin, are they going to stay healthy throughout the year? We already saw Ovechkin break his leg, which we know is if you're in the DC sports area, don't do anything athletic on November the 18th. Because that seems to be a bad day. You break legs, whether you're Alex Smith, Joe Theismann, or Alex Ovechkin, all on November the 18th. They all broke their legs. Yep. So everyone in DC, please be careful on the 18th of November. Remember, the 18th of November.
18th of November.
When Joe Theismann's leg snapped in half.
Yeah. When his leg had a second knee.
Yeah. Oh, that should be. Oh, sorry, that was gnarly. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
That ship did sail.
That ship sailed right there.
Yeah, that was it. That was it. But so now we're starting to get to a point in the season where you can. I'm not saying we look forward to the playoffs. We don't look forward to the trade deadline yet because you're still trying to figure out the team. You're only a little over a quarter away through the season. You're not. Well, actually, you're closer to the halfway point than you are the quarter way. So it gets to the point where, if anything, outside of this guy, what the heck is his name that I would love to see on this team. Oh yeah, Brady Tkachuk. Outside of him. When they get closer to the deadline, you're gonna see teams like the Devils that are gonna have to make some moves. And I hate to say it because I love the structure and I love the chemistry of the team, but I would love to see another bona fide goal scorer. I would love to see a guy that you could. I mean, Palat is starting to come alive, and I think he's got something like 5 points in his last couple games or something like that. So he's starting to get a groove with Jack and Jesper, which is great and good on Sheldon. Kiefer keeping them together because there's points where it was like he was not really noticeable on that line, and you had Jack and Jesper doing everything, and they were like, oh, there's Palat over there in the corner. I think he fell down. So it's good to see that he stuck with it. It's starting to pay off. The second and third lines, I still need some tweaking here and there because it feels like Nico's fine. Timo Meyer's fine. I would like to see Nason stay on that line, but you can't because then that takes away from the third line. So you have to find that balance. But at the same time, Mercer has had success with Nico in the past, so I understand putting him back up on that line. So the second and third line need to get that bounce. But, I mean, if they could get – I don't know.
Well, I think part of the issue is that third line has gone ice cold. Paul Cotter and Stefan Nason haven't been on the score sheet.
Disappeared.
They've both –
and he started out so hot.
Cold. Yeah. And I think that's been a big thing. I think one of the positives that we can look at is that it seems like Brett, what am I, a clown? Am I funny to you? Pesci and Luke Hughes seem to be kicking in their offensive game a little bit more. Obviously they didn't start the season. They didn't have a training camp and everything like that due to the injury. They've been great defensively. Holy hell, Brett Pesci.
The team as a whole has been insane. Letting
and
up
his
12
mentorship of Luke. Oh yeah,
my God.
Defensively, they've been playing lights out, but they just haven't had that finish lately. But with Cotter and Cotter and Nason, suddenly going cold, hopefully, Luke Hughes and Brett Pesci can maybe start chipping in on some of those assist plays and stuff like that, and maybe picking up a little bit of that slack there. Dawson Mercer, like you said, moving him up with Nico. Then you got that third line where you're like, if one of these guys can get going again, that makes us a lot more dangerous. Even if it's Nason getting a goal on that power play, and that's another thing too. The power play has gone ice cold as well. Oof. Where it was every game.
You knew it was going to happen. What, you knew
they were
it was going to happen.
They were getting a power play goal. Yeah. So that's a big part of it too, is the special teams were really, really coming through. And that's not something that it's going to stay at that level for the entire season. And teams go through dry spells. So let's hope that this third period, against the Blackhawks was them waking up and coming out of the dry spell.
Yeah. Let's say a lot of people have been saying Ryan O'Reilly in the chat. Ryan O'Reilly, I think, would be definitely a great fit for this team. A character guy, somebody that has playoff experience, somebody that's a leader, somebody that's a grizzled veteran that's going to bring a little bit of grit to the game too. So who can also score. I wouldn't mind seeing him come onto the team. I wouldn't mind seeing even a guy like I don't think he would, but a guy like a Tarasenko or somebody like that, where and those are those deals that you get a guy for relatively cheap. And I hate to steal a page out of the Rags book, but you look at like a Patrick Kane or a Tarasenko for this team, the way this team is constructed would make so much sense. I'm not saying those two guys, specifically. I'm just saying like that type of move where, you have the other team retaining a ton of salary or whatever the case may be. But I saw Frank Vetrano, that name brought up. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting because if it stays the way it is, right? So if the Devils and Canes and Capitals are staying neck and neck all the way up to the trade deadline, it's going to be interesting to see what Fitzgerald does, because he doesn't have a ton of room either. So he's going to have to move a piece to get a piece. So it's not like he could just be like, I'll give you a 7th round pick for Ryan O'Reilly and fit his contract in. He's going to have to move a piece out to get something to come back in. And right now, defensively, you're not touching a thing. You are not touching a single thing on that defense. Offensively, if you're going to move somebody, I don't know who it's going to be, but you're going to have to move somebody that has term under contract, because where else are you going to free up that money? So it's going to be interesting if they're going to try to get anybody. I don't know how or who. Are you going to have to say goodbye to a Dawson Mercer just to make somebody fit in, which would make no sense because you just signed him?
Yeah, that wouldn't make any sense.
Are you going to have to move I don't know.
Go ahead. Well,
No.
I get concerned when you think about something that they've done recently, with like Tyler Toffoli coming in. We ended up sending out Sharon Govich, who, in turn last year, went and had a 30-goal season. He's been a little dinged up this year. He hasn't been racking up the points like he was the previous season, but we all saw the potential with him. And unfortunately, it went through a season of, crazy injuries last year, and Toffoli didn't even last, a full season, and he was gone back out the door. Was it worth it? Was it worth it giving up Sharon Govich to get Toffoli there for, 3/4 of a season? So I think that's something that Fitzgerald's got to keep in the back of his mind. Are you? Is it? I would say Dawson Mercer is not going anywhere, especially for a rental. But then
I
where does that
agreed.
leave you? You're not going to trade Nason. You're not. I don't think you're going to trade Paul Cotter. Halla, is relatively inexpensive. That's you're not trading Timo. You're not trading Jesper Bratt, Jack, or Nico. Who are you going to move that people would accept a trade for? I mean, it would have to be a prospect, likely. And
yeah,
if you're gonna trade someone like a Simone Nemec, just throwing a name out there, not saying that they're going to do it, but if you're going to trade someone like that, I'm going to want someone a little bit more than just a rental.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a really interesting situation because this team might be at a place where it's like, well, what you see is what you get, and what we have is what we're going to have to push forward with, which is fine because Lazar's going to be coming back, and I think he's going to add a little bit to that fourth line again. You're going to have, Bastian's been playing pretty decent, like coming off of his injury as well. He played, I'll tell you what, in that first game back, decent. I didn't say he's been playing good. I've been saying he's been playing decent. Could somebody like a Nate Bastian be a guy that you move to clear up some of that space to bring somebody else in?
He doesn't really have like a.
It's not going to clear.
Contract.
He's not going to. No, he doesn't. But I mean,
yeah. And I don't think anyone's knocking down the doors. Fitzy, you got to tell me what's it going to take to get Nate Bastian on the team over here.
But
come on.
If you package him up with somebody else,
come on,
like a Nemec. And I hate when we have these conversations because you get people that are like, oh, these idiots want to trade away Nemec or these idiots want to trade away Casey, and it's like, no. Like we don't, but you understand like the business side of it, that you look at your team, you look at what you have. And listen, by the way, Fitzgerald came out recently and said that he's in the trade market. Like he's been poking around at things and looking around. Who knows what that means? Like it could mean him just throwing up, smoke and mirrors so people come sniffing around or whatever the case may be. But he's one to say that he's always looking to improve the team. So if he can find a way to do it, I think he's going to find a way to do it.
Yeah, and these, of course, are all hypotheticals that we're talking about here. Like we always say, this is a show like if we were sitting at a bar having a beer, just talking hockey. So these are all hypotheticals that we're throwing out there.
Yeah.
And yeah, Palat does have that contract. I think he does have some sort of no movement clause, but it's either this year or next year where a larger no trade clause, I think, kicks in. So again, and that's a hefty salary right there. You're going to have to eat a good portion of it, I would think, to move it. And I see our man Steven Tartaz saying that the Rangers made Trouba go away. That is not the way we want to do business. Because you don't want to waive somebody or basically
put a gun to their head and be like, you could either
or storied players here by threatening them with putting them on waivers so they accept a trade clause. That's not the way you want to do business, and that's not the way you want to attract free agents to the team.
No. There's a reason why that team is falling apart right now.
Who was the other one that they screwed over? Barley Goudreau, right? He ended up in
Goudreau.
Yeah. Goudreau, same thing. He didn't want to go. They threatened him, and they put him on waivers. That's not the way you want to treat your players. That's not the family environment that like Fitzy is trying to build here.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, Max, $1.99 worth of super chat just to find out that there is no football helmet. There never was a football helmet. It's all in your mind. There never was, and there never will be.
But yeah, that's not the way that we want to do business over here for the Devils. We want people to want to come play here and have that experience and not have to worry about that type of BS going on. That's just, I don't know, that's just a bad look. And yeah, that team over there right now is in friggin' chaos. And the goaltender they just signed for $11.5 million a year hasn't been playing like an $11.5 million goaltender. Maybe he's hurt. They're not saying anything. I'm not sure. But right now that team over there is in chaos. I would not be surprised to see the head coach fired in some short time.
Which is crazy because it's not even his fault. I honestly can't. It's
weird because Lavalette he's had some long stretches with teams, and then he's had a couple like really short stretches with teams. You know, like when they had Gallant, you know, like seems to be like a 2 to 3 year max type of coach, and then he gets let go. But Lavalette he's had some runs there where he stuck around. Like, was it the Canes? The Canes he was with only a short amount of time, right? And then they won the cup, and then, or was he there a long time? I can't remember. Washington, he was only there a short time, right? It was only like two seasons, I think, or 3 seasons. So he's been at, I don't remember, how long was he with the Flyers too? He's had a couple of both. He's had a both where he's had like those like, hey, this is our coach.
There's a Flyers guy in the chat right now. Flyers fan. How long were they with was Laviolette with you guys? If he answers,
I don't. Yeah, I'm not sure
if he doesn't answer. Last time checked. So, yeah, dude, you don't want business to be like that. But I will say this: people you forget about that we have in the farm system, like Gritsiuk. Is that how you say his name? Because I can't pronounce names to save my life.
Sure.
Sounds good. It's Russian.
Sounds like you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Gritsiuk or whatever his name is.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
He's a guy that I would be excited to see. But sometimes, we can't get too excited about that because you look at a guy like Nikita Gusev, whose game didn't transfer from the KHL over to the NHL. So you have to take it with like a grain of salt. That sometimes those guys come over and they play amazing, like a Michkov and Kaprizov and all these other guys. But then you get guys that come over that don't really transition that well at all. So hopefully he comes over and he's like, oh, well, there's that scoring winger that we've been looking for, and we could just throw him with Jesper and Jack or wherever we can need to throw him, and bam, we're the problem solved. And how much did it cost? $825,000. Thank you, Sam. Let's keep on moving. So yeah, in reality, I would love to see that.
You sounded like Back to the Future there. Hey, yeah. Marvin! You know that new sound you're looking for? Well, listen to that. You know that new winner you've been looking for?
Yeah. His name's Greasy.
Listen to this.
Yeah, Sharangovich was decent for us, but Sharangovich didn't really blossom until he went to Calgary. Let's not forget that. Like, Sharangovich was like a hell of a player, and that's a guy that's if we could sit down and talk about players that I wish we never let go or wish that were still with the team, he would be at the top of my list.
It's a Captain Hindsight move. It's a Captain Hindsight
move.
For
sure. Because Toffoli at
we
the
were
time,
all excited. Yeah, we were all excited about Tyler Toffoli coming through, and it was like, hey, we had to give something to get something, but it just sucked that Toffoli literally didn't even last one season because we traded him at the deadline, which they should have done. That was the right move, but that's what I'm just saying. When we were hypothetically talking about a potential move that would include Dawson Mercer, it's like, hey, look at what happened with Sharangovich. We need to be careful with this because you can obviously never tell when the entire team is going to get hurt like it did for us last year. So it's just something to keep in the back of the mind. I don't, unless it's someone like a Brady Tkachuk, I don't see them moving Dawson Mercer. But we'll see what happens. Fitzy's made a lot of good moves. So he, I still have trust in him. We obviously know about the goaltenders. We've had a rough run on the goaltender side, but everything else, he's made a lot of really good moves. Some moves that none of us were expecting, and it turned out really well. Even last year, bringing in Dylan and Pesci has been amazing for this team. So I still trust in Fitzy. I'm gonna follow him. He's the GM. I think he's got his head on straight here. I think we survived last year when everyone was going crazy. They got rid of Lindy, which I think solved a big thing, and then he went out and found a really good coach in Sheldon Keefe as well. And Sheldon Keefe also has that potential to be, quote unquote, our coach for the long term.
Yeah.
That theory that they had when Shiro brought in John Hines. The thing was like, hey, this is going to be our guy now. We're set here at coach. This is who it's going to be. But Sheldon Keefe kind of gives me. I feel like we unfortunately lost him to illness and stuff like that. But like when Lou brought in Pat Burns, I felt like, okay, this is a guy who's going to be here for a long time. He was that good of a coach and he set up that culture. And I feel like Sheldon Keefe is setting up that. I mean, you can see by the way they're playing defense. He set up a new culture with this team.
The way he did, and he's doing something that I love is trusting Jack and giving Jack that extra, like putting Jack on the PK. And dude, I'll tell you what, in the in the Maple Leafs game, Jack had a couple plays on the PK where he like dove and knocked the puck out of the zone. His defensive game is on a different level now. And if you think about it, this is just the first year of that system. If this progresses, he could turn into one of these like super well-rounded all-star players who guys like that don't come around often. You get like a McKinnon, somebody like that who like is a super well-rounded superstar. And if Jack can continue on that progress, I think it would be great. I mean, there's sometimes where he drives me nuts, where he's on the power play, and you got Dougie, wide open for a shot, and he just kind of like passes up on Dougie and just keeps carrying the puck around. But there's also times where that works out for sure. So like, it's refreshing to have a coach that we have now because he doesn't accept mediocrity. He doesn't accept losing.
Yes.
In fact, in one of his most recent interviews, they were like, what do you think about the losing at home? He's like, losing at home. He's like, I hate losing in general. He's like, I feel like we've lost too many games this year, period. He's like, we shouldn't be losing some of these games that we've lost. And like, that's what you want to hear. You don't want to hear like, oh, we get blown out 6-2. They came out, they played hard, and they had a good game. We didn't have it tonight. That was like the Lindy Ruff like speech. Every game that the Devils got killed, it was like, well, we tried.
Participation trophy speech.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah.
And listen, I respect the hell out of Lindy Ruff. I really do. I just feel like the game has changed dramatically from when he was at the top of his coaching career. And it just, they went on that magical run in the playoffs with Lindy. And I think it might have been more of an assistant coach kind of team where you had Burnett that was running a bunch of the team, supposedly. So
Nashville ain't looking so good.
Yeah, well, no. Well, he's not looking good either. But I mean, it's just this team. This team is like, McKinnon took a while to heat up. He was just, I agree.
Hey, Alan, what's up, man?
Yeah,
haven't seen Alan for a while. He runs the Ryan Graves site when the old Gravy Train was on the team. So
yes,
good to see Alan back here in the chat. We haven't talked to him in a while.
Yeah. Puck management. We didn't respect the game. We didn't have the details.
Look at Brooke. Stop talking about Lindy. My blood pressure is
rising. Oh, you're fine. Knock it off.
He's an old quack. I love it.
He's an old man. But listen, but now we're on to bigger, better. And one of the things that like I love about Sheldon Keefe too is like you could tell that the chemistry of the team is really solid. You bring in guys like Cotter, you bring in guys like Pesci. Pesci has been absolute gold. Dylan has been gold.
Oh yeah.
Kovacevic has been gold. Like the defense that they've constructed has been phenomenal.
Awesome.
Dougie's had a few games recently where he's been a little bit of a liability back there, but God love Dougie.
That's why you have Brendan Dillon. Yeah.
And
everyone was worried about the point totals. Look at those point totals for Dougie. They're just going up and up and up and up. He's going to be back into that 60-point range by the end of the year. He's at 21 right now. So don't be surprised. I know at the beginning of the year we said over under 50. I know I had the over on Dougie, but everyone was worried. Oh, pectoral muscle. He may not have that shot anymore and stuff like that, but he's got that shot. He's unleashed that cannon a number of times, and it seems like he's just getting healthier and healthier. And that's something that we do have to keep in mind with Dougie, major injury. With Pesci, major injury. With Luke, major injury. And they're coming off, and they didn't get those full training camps in, and you can see the progress with them. But, dude, totally agree. Brett Pesci has been just one of the best signings the Devils could have made. Not only for his shot blocking and his presence back there, and I think we're going to see the offense start kicking in now, but just everything he is doing with Luke Hughes is gold. It is gold. I have seen so many great defensive plays from Luke Hughes. Smart plays. Use your reach. Use the stick. You don't have to clobber someone physically. You can just knock the puck off their stick, and with your speed, go get it. You were at that game. I can't remember who they were playing, where the whole play was this way, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, turbo boost, Luke Hughes just came flying into my TV screen. He's got that speed level in NHL 2K, whatever, like up to 100%. He is deadly with that speed, but the smart, heady defensive plays that he is making now, and I don't know about you, but I'm kind of attributing that to his play with Brett Pesci. I think it's really helped him calm down and focus and see they say the game slows down for you. I feel like with that mentorship from Pesci, the game is really starting to slow down for Luke.
Yeah, and that goes back to, once again, take a shot if you hear it, the word consistency, because you look at each D pairing has been consistently together through the entire year, right? So you have this layer of trust that's being built between the two of them, but that goes with all of them. Siegenthaler's playing lights out too. I mean, all these guys are on defensively. I have no issues. Like Dougie Hamilton is sometimes a risk reward guy where you're going to have like defensive breakdowns, like that game against Toronto. A lot of people blamed Mercer
Pesci
for
not pulling. Oh, I thought you was going to say Pesci for not pulling Austin Matthews down.
No,
in overtime.
No offense. You would have had Austin Matthews on a
penalty shot. Yeah.
Penalty shot, and he probably would have scored anyways, dude. And the goal that he scored too was like absolutely ridiculous. If you see how he basically took the puck and like just chipped it up into a spot where there's no way, Markstrom was going to get that. That like when he scored, my daughter was sitting next to me and she goes, "No," and I go, what are you going to do? That was one of the best guys in the NHL. Like that is literally one of the best players in the NHL that just beat you. It's not like some scrub beat you, which would annoy me. Like those games in the past where like a guy would be coming down the wing, would shoot it like above the circles and like put it in between Vitek's like armpit, and we lose the game in overtime. And you'd be like, "Are you kidding me? That's how we lost in overtime." There was a game against the Islanders, I think it was last year or 2 years ago, where Vitek let up one of the most horrendous overtime goals ever. And I literally stood up, and I can't repeat what I said, but I'll clean it up a little bit. Is you got to be goddamn kidding me. And it was just, I've never been so shocked. And it was like within the first like 15 seconds, I'm pretty sure it was the Islanders. It's like the first 15 seconds of overtime. I was just like, are we, anyways, I'm just having horrible flashbacks. horrible flashbacks. Yeah, people are scared of Lindy Ruff. I have flashbacks of bad goaltending. But yeah, defensively, they've been so dependent. You look at the shot totals recently. Dude, when we were at that Toronto game, I couldn't get over the fact that Toronto had one shot on goal for almost a period and a half. And if anybody remembers, one of the greatest playoff performances by any defense ever is when the Devils held the Toronto Maple Leafs to a solid 4 shots on goal.
I think it was 6, right?
4.
Total was like
6. Was it 6? Maybe 6.
I think it was
total.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, right.
I think it was something like that. I think it was 6. I think it was like 1, 2 in the second, and then 3 in the third. I think that's what they did. I could be
insane.
Maybe it was 6, maybe it was 7, maybe it was 5. It was somewhere around.
I think it was 6.
Yeah.
I think it was 6. I think you're right. But it was insane. But it's had the same feel. And you saw Toronto pushing, and that just
3,
shows
2, 1.
you, like,
thank you, Sam. It was 3, 2, 1. So it was 6. Yeah.
You remember when we talked about when we lost Ryan Graves, speaking of our good friend over there, when we lost Ryan Graves, and last year we were like, oh, well, who's going to make up for the shot blocks? Like, who's going to make up for the shot blocks? Well, you got Brett Pesce now, who eats pucks for lunch and dinner and breakfast. You got Dylan, you have Kovacevic, you have these guys that are just shot blocking machines now. And I mean,
and Nico, and Eric Holla.
Oh, my God.
Paul Connor as well, Stefan Mason.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It made a big difference. But the one thing I will say, yes, we're all looking at those shot totals and being like, oh my God, the defense is playing so awesome. The other side of that is you have a goalie, though, who's not, quote unquote, in the game. We talked to Shorts Guy because he's been at the games with Sam, and he said the same thing. The games where you don't get peppered with shots are usually a lot harder for goaltenders.
Can be dangerous, yeah.
Like where you only get 1 or 2 shots in. And the thing is like the shots that probably do get through are serious high danger scoring opportunities right there. And if you're only getting 1 or 2 shots a period and you happen to let 1 go in of those 2, that can be really disheartening for a goaltender. Now, goaltenders have got to be extremely tough mentally, to not let those things, creep in and shake their game. But sometimes, getting some shots on goal actually helps goaltenders, gets them focused, keeps them in the game, builds their confidence from stopping those pucks. So there's a double-edged sword to that. Yes, the defense is playing really, really well. But, Markstrom, hopefully, as a veteran, and Jake Allen before he got injured, you would hope that they'd be able to battle through that. But when, if we're looking at Isaac Poulter or whoever else, Nico Dawes, in previous seasons, if they come in and face that, would that actually be a detriment to them in that game?
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's true. And those are the things that luckily right now Markstrom's been playing all right. He's been playing good. He has games where he's playing like really, really solid, and he has games where he's letting up 3, letting up 4, and like you want to see him clean it up because we got to start winning these games like 2-1. We got to start winning these games that are low scoring affairs, especially, right now, outstanding, that going into that Blackhawks game, when it went 1-0, I'm like, dude, come on now. Like, what if we lose to the damn Blackhawks in a game like this? And it just smelled of a Taylor Hall 2-goal game. That's like, it just felt like it was going to be one of those, you know what I mean? Like one of those games you're like, no, not him. I mean, you're like, oh, it's him again.
How many ex-players have burned us already? Like it always seems to be a thing when ex-Devils come in, they have like the game of their career. Yeah. I was waiting for a Taylor Hall tally to go up there on the board as well. But luckily it didn't happen.
And let's not forget Stalwarts was he's a Jersey native too, so he can count in that whole getting burned by ex-Devils and or Jerseyites. Because we always seem to get burned. Guys come back to the state and they play well. John Carlson plays well. Colton Ross plays well.
Van Riemsdyk.
Van Riem. Yeah, everybody come back home and it's like, oh, we'll play all right. I am. By the way, my fantasy football life is on the line tonight. Sorry to bring that up, But
mine ended on Thursday when I had 3 players playing in a touchdown-less game. So yeah, I've already
trust me, my quarterback was in that game. So
yeah, 2 running
my
backs
quarterback
and a wide
and
receiver. Cooper Kupp,
Yep.
first goose egg in like 6 years or something like that. Thanks, Coop. Thanks to the fantasy playoffs there for throwing up that 0. Really appreciate that.
I mean, Puka Nacua got me 14 points out of that game, which I don't know how because Stafford got 8 points out of that game. I should have looked at the weather. I'm an idiot, but I have freaking C.J. Stroud on the bench who's been playing terrible in his sophomore year this year. But anyways, enough fantasy football because it's going to make me cry. Because if I would have put Stroud in, and if I would have put Houston defense over Baltimore's defense, who I thought was going to kill the Giants, and they did kill the Giants, but they did no favors. They let up 2 damn touchdowns, and they scored 8 points. I figured the Baltimore defense was going to put up like 30 points against the Giants today because the Giants suck.
I dropped them like 5-6 weeks ago because they don't do any. They get no fumbles, they get no interceptions, they get nothing. It just is what it is. But anyway. We're here about the end of the old show here, about to get into some final thoughts for this episode. And Brooke, I just want to let you know that guys do actually clean out their belly button, so be okay. It'll be okay. Don't believe everything you read on the internet. Guys do clean out their belly buttons, and we don't think about the Roman Empire every 2 minutes. I never understood that one either.
Yeah, and we also when we do clean it out, we like to show it to people sometimes because that's what guys do.
Yeah. I think about the Devils more than I think about the Roman Empire. So yeah,
I actually never think about the Roman Empire.
I don't either. I never.
Still not thinking about it.
Yeah. Maybe Gladiator.
The Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire.
You go with the Ottoman Empire. Okay.
The Ottoman. Right. I might.
Sometimes I like to focus in on Genghis Khan and the Mongolian Empire. So you never know.
Yeah,
that's a fun one.
Sometimes I think about when the Empire struck back. That Empire.
Yes. Now that's an empire I think about quite often. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, another little side tangent. I saw a clip the other day of when they filmed Star Wars. They had the actor that was in Darth Vader's suit deliver the lines on set, so obviously people could hear it.
Oh,
and then
the English accent and stuff.
It's so, dude. It's like you over here, come over here. You're very naughty. You have the plans for the Death Star. Where are they? Okay, they're not with you. Where's those droids? Let's go find them. Everybody, come on. Here we go. It's like this nerdiest voice. I'm like, dude, I guarantee you, I know the story behind it, but it would have been funny to sit in that room and they're doing the final cut of that movie and they're like, no. No.
I'm sure they decided
up that voice a little
relatively
bit.
early. They're like, whatever the actor's name was, don't tell George that we're going to replace him with James Earl Jones. Just let him go. Just let him have his fun. Just don't tell him. Don't tell him.
Well, that's what they did to another nerd fact. That's what they did to George Clooney and Oh Brother, Where Art Thou. They didn't tell him that they weren't going to use his singing. They were like, yeah, you sound great, dude. And then after the movie was done filming, they're like, let's go get that country singer and overdub all of his singing. But anyways. Come on, people, the Ottoman Empire.
But final thoughts here. I'll say this. I just mentioned it on Devils After Dark the other day real quick, but very, very, very long overdue. I am very happy that the Devils are putting Jacques Lemaire into the Ring of Honor. I believe in January that's happening. Way overdue. Way overdue. Not only, for the first cup run, but you remember the abysmal year where they threw John McClain in as the head coach. And what were they, 9 and 20 something, I think, when they finally, fired McClain, and everyone thought that season was shot to hell. And then Jacques Lemaire comes in, simplifies the game for them. And even though they just barely missed the playoffs, that turned into one of the most fun seasons as a Devils fan because they completely turned it around and went on a crazy run, which almost culminated with them getting into said playoffs. It went right down to the wire. And so Jacques Lemaire, yeah, maybe you don't like the trap or whatever, but it worked for that team. And he brought us our first Stanley Cup. He worked a lot with Larry Robinson, who brought us our next Stanley Cup. And he came back to this team, and he has been, a force with it for many, many years. It is long overdue. I'm glad he is finally getting into the Ring of Honor. Congratulations to Jacques Lemaire.
Yeah.
January 22nd. Thank you, Tom.
Very, very well said. And there's a lot of the younger generation that don't understand what he meant to this team. Scotty, Sam, Shorts Guy, and I are all at the age of 42 to 45, respectively, around that area. And Shorts Guy's way younger than that. But we all remember those cup runs. We all remember the impact that Jacques Lemaire had on this team and how important he was to this franchise. And it was a culmination of a perfect storm of a perfect coach, a perfect GM, bringing in the right type of people. And they weren't big and flashy names. They weren't names that, like a Messier or Gretzky.
They became big flashy names, though.
But they became big flashy names. They became the Stevens. They became the Niedermeyers. They became the Brodeurs. They became this team that even in 94 when they lost to the Rangers in the Eastern Conference Finals, like you could tell that this team wasn't a fluke, that this team was destined to do bigger things. And that was the tutelage of Jacques Lemaire. And to go even further back, I'm going to say that it was Chris Nyland. I think I was watching, I forget which documentary it was, but he always credited Jacques Lemaire with being one of the few coaches that, really trusted him. And it just showed like the type of relationship that he had with his players and what he meant to them. So and by the way, if you haven't seen it, I think it's still up on the Devil's Twitter, and it's probably up on their website. If you go and look at the video of Brodeur speaking about Lemaire and just how wonderful it is to hear these guys speak so highly of a coach that altered the course of this franchise. So
yeah,
we were lucky to have him, and it's going to be awesome. I agree, 100%, much well deserved. I'm glad they're doing this every year now. It seems like, because we had Breland last year, we have Jacques this year. I could only imagine Glenn Chico Resch maybe coming up next, because I feel like he's inside the booth, on the ice. Glenn Chico Resch has been. If anybody I could put up there next, I think it would be him.
I think
if not Lou Lamoriello, obviously, but
they'll probably wait for Lou to retire for but if he ever does. I think you made a good call right there. I think Chico should be next year's honoree. That's a really good call right there. Yeah, very good, very good.
100%. All right, boys. Sammy,
I think
your neck is better.
I think you listened to the Woo report, because I've been saying that the last 2 years about Chico.
Mm-hmm.
Chico being the next one. You guys did most of the talking on this podcast, but I can't. This homestand, forget about the record. It's the defense. It's gotten so much better. It's gotten so much better, and you don't win championships without defense. They're doing all the right things. The offense, I'm cool with it. But that defense, I mean, we've been wanting defense for – I don't think we've had a defense since 2012, to be honest. I really – it's been a long time.
I think this defense is better than 2012, in my opinion. But
Oh, yeah. And the goaltending – Markstrom with Allen out, and Markstrom being the 1A that he is, he's proving why he is a number one goaltender. So,
yeah.
And these are all good things because this homestand gave us a big scare because they hadn't been winning at home, and I've had my conspiracy theories why, but they came through in the end. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. and they finished very strong. After Toronto, I think that got the team a little angry, and Thursday and Saturday's games, much better, much better.
Yeah, well, and not to interrupt you, Sam, but even in that Toronto game, they played a hell of a game, and even the coach walked away from it. And he's not the type of Lindy Ruff like, hey, we did great, so let's move on. He even walked away from that game saying like that was probably the best game we played all year. Just unfortunate bounce, and there you go. But listen, they beat the Kings at the Kings game, and the Kings were on a 6-game heater when they came in, so they're doing what they got to do.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And the Kings picked it up right the next game as well. They went back to winning right after that. So
we got to stop letting up the first goal. That's the other thing now. Let's get away from that.
We'll work on that too.
Yeah. A lot of viewers today, folks. A lot of viewers. Well, want to thank all those tuning in. Just remember to go to joinourcrew.com, as we did send out the email blast when we had beer for breakfast on Saturday. I don't know if you guys got the email.
I did.
Yeah.
I got it. It's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. And so much more this week. We'll have Game Day Live and Devils After Dark Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Also at the point with me and Bruce Zeman Tuesday and Thursday, and of course on Wednesday, State of the Fan Address presented by pucksandpitchforks.com. Nick Villano and I will podcast Wednesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. That's it. Till next time.
And Hockey on Tap with that rascal Billy
Hockey
D.
on Tap. Oh, and the boys. Tarps up,
and
boys.
the boys.
Tarps up. And the boys.
Yes.
Hey,
So
wait, real quick.
Yep.
Shout out to that fan who ripped his tarp off during the penalty shot and the Kings
Penalty
game.
shot.
Whoever you were, that's how you do it. Tarps off.
Tarps off.
Let's
All
go,
right.
Devils.